Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun with Benzion. Today's daf is Nazir daf Chaf Aleph. Chaf Aleph and Aleph, the Gemara has a question. In the middle of the daf, the Gemara says, towards the top, about 10 lines down, Luchad b'chavre mitfis odil mekama mitfisi. Right? We had in our Mishnah, a person says, Arini Nazir, I'm a Nazir. And it says, and his friend said Va'ani, and another friend said Va'ani. Right? So what does the Mishnah mean? Does the Mishnah mean, let's say Ruvain said Arini Nazir, you have Shimon and Levi both said Va'ani. Does the Mishnah mean that Shimon and Levi are both connecting themselves to Ruvain's Naziros? Or is it possible, like the Gemara says, right? Or do we say, like the first suggestion the Gemara says, really, Shimon, when he says Va'ani, is connecting himself to Ruvain's Naziros, and Levi is connecting himself to Shimon's Naziros. What's the nafkamina? The nafkamina is, how much time do you have for Levi to say Va'ani? If you say that Levi is also connecting himself to Reuven's Naziros, and it's not possible to connect to Shimon's Naziros, so then he would even Levi would have to do it b'tokei dibur of Reuven's statement Hareini Nazir. We learn you have to connect yourself b'tokei dibur, which is Shalom Lecha Rebbe, 3 words. However, if you say that Levi could connect to the Va'ani of Shimon, and by saying Va'ani also, so then he has Tokei Dibur from when Shimon uttered Va'ani. And you can go on forever and ever like that. That's the Gemara's question. So the Gemara tries to prove it back and forth. Finally, the Gemara on the bottom of Kohalim and Aleph, the Gemara concludes, Shma Mina, Chad B'chavrei Mitfis Shma Mina. The Gemara brings a proof from a Brisa, and it's clear that, of course, if Levi wanted to connect himself to Reuven's Naziros, he could. However, if they're both standing there, Shimon and Levi, and Shimon says Va'ani, and then Levi says Va'ani afterwards, right? We assume that Levi connects himself to Shimon, and it's possible, not only that we assume that, but it's possible for Levi to connect himself to Shimon's Va'ani. Now, what's the question? Why shouldn't that be possible? Why does the Gemara still assume it's impossible to do that? The answer is, like I explained before, when you say Hareini Nazir, it's not just that you're accepting upon yourself Nisr Gavra on Yayin, Tamal Mesim, and shaving your hair. It's not just 3 different Yisrei Gavra that you're accepting on yourself. Nazir is a type of a neder where the chefsa is yourself, right? It's an Isser chefsa on yourself. Because you have a nezer, you have a crown on your head, so therefore you have a mela, automatically you have certain Yisurim that apply to a Nazir, the 3 main Yisurim that apply to a Nazir. Now, when a person says Vani, right, what is he doing? He hears the person say Hareini Nazir, and he says Vani, me also, right? So the fact that there's a Nazir present, so there, right, it's considered something which is, like the Gemara talked about in the beginning of the Masechta, Yadai Mochichos, that he wanted to become a Nazir. We know he wants to become a Nazir. The question is, when he says Vani, does that accept an Isra Chefsa like the first person? Or, like we've learned, that it's possible, when you say Hareini Nazir L'meya Yom, I've suggested, it's a different type of Nazir. That's not a Zirus that's dependent on the concept of Nezer on your head. It's a concept dependent on days, right? And on all the mitzvahs that are totally in a day, right? You're supposed to eat Sheikh Lulav on the first day of Sukkot. That's a mitzvah on the Gavra, a mitzvah on to blow a shofar, Rosh Hashanah, a mitzvah on the Gavra. So here also he says Meya Yom. So it's an Isser Gavra in that case. There's 2 types of Nazirus. There's a Nazirus which is type of a neder, and there's an Nazirus, like when you makabel an Nazirus with Beis HaKvaros, right, where you're tamei. So obviously you can't accept yourself a crown, you can't become an Isra Chefsa because you're presently tamei. However, you could accept upon yourself the Isra Gavra of wine and not shaving your head, and when you leave the Beis HaKvaros, automatically, like Rabbi Yochanan, it'll be chal, right, the Tumah L'Mesim. So obviously in that case, you can't accept a crown upon your head, you can't be an Isra Chefsa. So in a case of Meya Yom, or in a case where you're Beis HaKvaros, so it is for Gavra. So when the person is Vani, what type of Nazirus is he taking upon himself? Is he taking upon himself, is he connecting himself and saying, I am also an Isra Chefsa like the Hareini Nazir? Or is he just accepting Yisrei Gavra? What's the nafkamina? The nafkamina is the third person, Levi. The third person, Levi, who says Vani also. If you say that Vani he's taking upon himself an Isra Chefsa just like the first person, so of course, Levi, when he wants to say Vani and connect himself to Shimon, of course he can do that. However, the other side of the Gemara is that maybe when I say Vani, right, I'm just saying me also, so that's not a strong enough dibur, not a strong enough language in order to accept a full Nazirus, where it's an Isra Chefsa on your head, on your body. You can't do that. So all Vani is just, you're taking a Nazirus, but the lesser form of a Nazirus, where you're just accepting the Surah Gavra. And if you're just accepting the Isurei Gavra, so then Levi, when he tries to attach to you, right, since you're a weakened form of Naziros, the first Shimon's Naziros is weaker than Ruvain's, so maybe Levi's acceptance Vani, when you just accept Isurei Gavra and you're depending yourself on Shimon's Isurei Gavra, maybe it doesn't work at all. It doesn't work at all because it goes less and less. If Shimon's Kabbalah, right, his acceptance was less than Ruvain's, so then Levi's not even going to be the threshold of being an Isurei Gavra. And that's the Gemara's question. And the Gemara's answer at the end of the day is no, when you say Vani, you're not only accepting Isurei Gavra, but you're saying exactly already knows you're accepting Isurei Chefsa. So of course, when another person says Levi comes and attaches himself to Shimon's Naziros, he's also accepting Isurei Chefsa. And therefore, they all have an Isurei Chefsa. And that's what the Gemara is saying. Just by saying the word Vani, even though it's not a complete statement, Harini Nazir, because you're attaching yourself to Harini Nazir, the person in front of you, you accept yourself a crown upon your head, an Isurei Chefsa upon yourself, and therefore Levi can attach himself to Shimon with the same Vani, and presumably also have an Isurei Chefsa upon himself. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.